So I have no idea if this is live yet. I have to check to see on the platforms if it is live. Bear with me for 1 second. I think that one is accurate. Um, and the Facebook one, I wasn't sure on it because it did it a little bit differently. Is it live? I don't. Yes. Okay. So it is working. So sorry for that fumblingness when I start the live, because also I'm doing this one a little bit still different. So this one is only streaming to um, YouTube and Facebook. And Most likely, a lot of times people just check it out after it's aired. And if it's streamed to YouTube, usually I will keep it there. But I felt that an important topic to discuss is one that I hear over and over and over again, one that I have felt myself over and over and over again. And if anybody doesn't know, I will be 47 years old the end of this month. My hair loss began in 1999 when I was 21 years old. And I was completely lost. My life felt over before it began. I was born with enough hair for, 3 people, 5 people. I just never thought I would lose my hair. This just wasn't a factor of something that I ever thought could happen to me. And so, to say the least, the carpet was ripped out from under me, and as it is for many women. But one of the emotions or feelings, if we want to call it, and I do hear it all the time from women, and when it comes to dealing with hair loss and what they're dealing with in the loss of like the loss of self, watching themselves look differently, and also when they want to go and actually, get a wig and approach that subject and that direction. And the word is shame. And that word comes up over and over and over again. And I just hate, I feel it. I've felt this a lot in my life. That's probably why I hate the word of shame personally, because I've felt it in many dynamics of my life for inexplicable reasons. Like you don't even know why you're feeling it, you just have it. So that's kind of poignant when it comes to just the discussion of, you know, of hair loss. Hey there, Adrian. Um, it's nice to see you. I don't have my little thing like squared out correctly here, so you're just all giant there. It's good to see you. So shame and hair loss. Let's discuss this for a second. If someone does something that's to be shameful for, like it makes sense. I don't know. Let's think of whatever. You rob somebody, you kick somebody down the stairs. I don't know what it is, but it's like, okay, well, maybe that's something you probably should have some shame for. But when it's something that's happening to us, something that we had nothing to do with. We didn't do this to us. I didn't give myself hair loss, even though I blamed myself for giving myself hair loss by taking the birth control pill, low estrogen FE, and I lived with that for many years. Like I was to blame for that. And if had I never done that, then this wouldn't have occurred and my life wouldn't have taken this downward spiral the way that it did. But why was I feeling shame or ashamed about what was happening to me when I didn't do anything to make this happen? But it's not just me. It's so many women out there. It's so many women that are just living in this feeling that is a very uncomfortable feeling. Nobody wants to feel shame, especially for things they cannot control or they didn't do anything to deserve it. Um, it comes up with wigs because, we want to feel good about ourselves and we deserve to feel good about ourselves and we deserve to do whatever we have to do in our lives to make ourselves feel better. It doesn't matter if people get it or they don't get it. Maybe yes, maybe no. But irrespective of that, like women feel shame for wearing wigs. There's like a shame cloud around wearing wigs. And I think that when you have a progressive disorder, like female pattern baldness, which is progressive, meaning you can treat it, you can try to slow it, you can even get some regrowth, but inevitably, this is a progressive disorder that will continue. Your hair will miniaturize over time and stuff like that. We have to deal with what we are confronted with. And I think one of the biggest hurdles that hold people back, one of the biggest things that keeps people from actually getting help for themselves is the shame factor, the shame of people knowing, people will find out, people will know that I have hair loss, you know. So they miss out on events. They don't want to go to the party. They don't want people to know that they're wearing a wig because they're afraid that they will be judged, you know. But at the end of the day, this, and when I say this, trust me when I say that I know this is easier said than done. This is your life. The people that you may think would be judging you, they may or may not. There probably are some that will, but you get to live the life that you deserve, irrespective of what other people think. This wasn't something you did to yourself. This is something that happened, and you and me, we learn to live with it. We learn to adapt. We learn to accept. We learn to basically move mountains that I didn't even know were possible. Because without a doubt, I would say that I was one of the most resistant people to ever accepting that my hair couldn't be what it was before. Obviously, this is a wig and my head is shaved for people that don't know, you know, but, you know, by telling you that I lost my thought. But, you know, we have to take control of our story and not allow other people to take control of our story or affect our story. Um, I think that it's incredible. I think it's important, by the way, like to be careful about, although I am very pro sharing now, you know, and have been for quite some time. I'm very open and outward about my hair loss and my wigs to everybody, not just here. It doesn't matter. It can be anywhere. You know, I think in the beginning, it's important to be selective about who you're including in your journey because I feel like sometimes those people, like, it's not like it's a make it or break it, but they're hindering that person from moving forward. They're like, oh, your hair looks good enough to me. It looks fine. Yeah, I'm sure my hair looks good enough, fine enough to you because what do you care? It's not your hair, you know, or don't wear a wig. Oh my God, don't wear a wig because, you know, that's just not going to look right. Again, not your life. Or whenever I would speak about shaving my head, which I'd been talking about forever because I thought that would be the holy grail to getting past, you know, the next phase of my, you know, 26-year journey at this point, but, you know, way back, even, you know, a decade ago, and I could never jump that hurdle. You know, if I spoke about it, even within my family, who knew I had hair loss, who knew I wear wigs, it was like, I mean, it was like I was talking about like I was going to cut off my arm when, you know, if you're going to use that analogy, if you want to use that analogy, if you got gangrene on your arm, okay, this thing is about to, what's the word? I'm not a doctor, but like take over your body. Is that like a thing? Does it metastasize all over the place if you got gangrene? Any doctors out there? But if you got gangrene on your arm, how do you save yourself? You save it by, well, in this case, cutting the arm. And in that case, my analogy for that was shaving my head. Shaving my head was saving my life. So while people were looking at me like I had two heads, you certainly have hair on your head. It was certainly sufficient, in their opinion, that you should be able to grow it out. I got a gangrene arm that's robbing me from living my life. And the way that I can move forward before initially was by wearing wigs. The way that I could move forward and after I got a second hair loss in 2023 was by shaving my head. Other people will never get that unless they are living it, and they do not need to get that. Only you need to understand that and make the choices you need to make for yourself because this is your life. And I think that that conversation has come up so many times for me in conversations in DMs about people being embarrassed. What if somebody finds out? Honestly, what if somebody finds out? Well, hand in the cookie jar. You caught me. I lost my hair. I wear a wig. You know, now we're stronger for it because I already knew it. Now you know it and we can go on with our lives, and carry on. I think that everything that we do towards this process makes us stronger in this process. I know that sometimes people don't feel that way because they feel very hindered. They feel very reclusive. I'm a reclusive person in general, kind of a hermit. But like, you know, everything that you do, watching this video or somebody else's video, that is helping you take a step towards trying to reclaim yourself. But also be careful about who you watch online because I don't think that everybody's always being honest. I do see a comment here. So let me try to not make it like massive like I did the last one when I pulled up Adrian's. Okay, here we go. Okay. The thing that bothers me about female hair loss is that many people, when they find out about it, assume that a woman's hair is falling out because she is doing something wrong. And she's got a second one coming up here. And it says, but for a man who is going through hair loss, people are more likely to accept it. And it's true. So men's hair loss is, more socially acceptable. It doesn't mean that a lot of men don't suffer in this process. But it is not socially really acceptable for a woman to lose her hair. Like society doesn't get that whole part of it. They just don't. 2025, here we are, a lot going on. Plenty of people, outwardly whipping their wigs off and doing all this stuff. But in the real world, with the people that we encounter, we still have to deal with this ourselves. We still have to deal with what we can deal with towards making this work in our own life. And that doesn't always include comparing yourself to someone else out there that you may think is doing it somehow easier or better or whatever. Everybody has their own journey in this process. Um, and it is unfortunate. I think it is unfortunate that women's hair loss is so misunderstood. It's like, um, I don't know how people are gonna feel about me actually saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. But I know that I'm not the only one that has had this situation. But my head is shaved. But even before it was shaved, it was a short cut, but it was a thinning cut. It was a cut designed to basically make it look like it was an edgy choice, but with thinning hair. If I had my druthers, it would have been long and thick like it always was. There is no question, right or wrong. People may not want to believe that this is true, or maybe it's sad that it is true, but people in the world, and it's not like they're deliberately treating you badly. Like they're not like, I don't think I've ever been deliberately treated badly for having a shaved head or my thinning hair or anything like that. But people treat you differently when you have good hair on your head, when they see you as what they consider to be whatever is supposed to be in their mind of I don't know, a woman's head of hair should be. But that's just not the way it is. So we live in the shadows, we live in the closets, we live in the darkness, we live in our, fear of self loathing, of looking in the mirror and watching ourselves erode in the mirror and not being able to be outward about what we're dealing with because of societal standards on that and actual literal standards on that. Um, but I do think that I do go out, by the way, plenty of times with my shaved head, plenty of times without a doubt. And even when I had before I shaved it, I wore wigs and had a short haircut. People saw me both ways. That's just the way I chose to live. Sometimes I got to have the hair I thought was the better hair, and sometimes I just got to have the hair that ended up being the one that landed on my head that was suboptimal. Um, but it's on us to push through that, to push through those barriers that exist. And it's not for you or anybody else to have to change the world. It's just for you to have to change your world. It's for you to have to find your own peace within this, for you to know that you can find your own peace within this, to know that it can be okay. I'm someone that likes things to be perfect always, if possible. I don't deal with change well whatsoever. I don't even, like I've said this before, I don't even like my Ziploc bag to be different. I like the one with the press and seal and like the zipper thing, like Ziploc. If you're listening, I don't know why you make that one, but it literally gives me the shakes to get the wrong Ziploc bag. So for a person like me that has like these isms, to be contending with losing my hair, the loss of self control, the loss of self, trying to find a wig that's going to feel like me, which is pretty difficult to do because there's no such thing as a perfect wig. People want to tell you that there's a perfect wig out there and they're trying to sell you on a perfect wig. That doesn't mean there are not good wigs out there. I have good wigs, and wigs are life changing for me. They aren't for everybody, but they are for me. But do I think a perfect wig exists? No, it's still at the end of the day, it's a wig on my head. This thing comes off. It won't, I can't put it in a super high pony. Yes, they have pony wigs. I will never have the super cool yoga bun. So I've had to adapt and make concessions throughout my life to be able to learn to live with this in my life with some modicum of peace that I think is available to all of us out there. I really do. I don't just say that because I know that I had to be. I feel like when I talk to people, there's two spectrums. There are some people that they kind of like they go through this like super fast. They're just like, I never liked my hair anyways. It was kind of thin. I was like kind of crappy, and I got a wig, and like I can do everything that I ever wanted to. And then you have other people that they had thinning hair, but they still wanted their hair, even if it wasn't all everything that they could be, and they're not adapting to wigs. And then you have people that are on the spectrum maybe where I was more at, where everything about me was my hair. That was my sadly, it's like not something I'm proud to admit. My identity was so tied to my hair, even though I took it for granted. It was like me and my hair. Like, oh wow, great hair, and I wish I had other attributes that I could fall back on and be like, wow, that really built me up. But no, it was just me and my hair. So when that one thing was like ripped away from me, my whole life fell apart. Everything fell apart. The world got dark. And I thought I could never, ever, ever exist in this planet if it didn't all come back. And I've said it time and time again, but like, I mean, I'm Catholic. I used to go to church and pray to St. Jude, and I used to say my prayers, and I used to say, please God, please let my hair go back in thick and strong. And anything and everything, like whatever it will take, please, I prayed in churches around the United States, you know, maybe the bigger the church, the more that I'll be heard. Um, but I will say this. And I said, to my mom once, I said, because my mom's the one that like turned me on to St. Jude. And I said, I'm praying. Okay. I'm praying. This is like in my early, I remember hair loss started at 21. I'm doing all the things and nothing is happening. Nobody can help me. I'm in such deep suffering. I will never be me again. This is gone. And she said to me that, sometimes things just aren't meant to be the way that we want them to be. And sometimes we are praying for the wrong thing. And that makes me kind of tear up when I say that. She says, sometimes we're praying for the wrong thing. We're praying for the thing that really wasn't meant for us. And we have to change our prayer. If you're religious, I'm not trying to push this on anybody, but like maybe we need to change that prayer. And so at that point in time, when she told me that, I changed my prayer. That I changed my prayer to, please God, please let my hair grow back in thick and strong the way it was before. I said, please God, if this is what is meant for my life, this is what you decided for me, please give me the strength to deal with this. Please give me the strength to be able to live with this and find a way to make this work and do something with it. And at that point, the time is that I changed my prayer. And whether you're spiritual or religious or you're not, I think kind of the point of that is that it's part of a mindset change because it's also you deciding for yourself. You were so dead stuck on your hair coming back or bust, or maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can change it in some other way. Maybe there is possibility. So you don't need to be religious to believe in any of that, by the way. But that is the point at which I changed that prayer for myself, for whatever that's worth. And hair loss podcast. As I said, carry St. Jude card in my wallet, and I'm not Catholic. Love me my St. Jude, yes. Um, we don't always know why things happen. I don't know why things happen. I 10,000% believe my hair loss, my androgenetic alopecia, hair loss number one, was kicked in from getting off the birth control pill, Lowestrin FE, which when you get on or off a birth control pill, it can kick in your genetic predisposition to hair loss. If you read the origami pamphlet that they give you, you will see that hair loss is listed as a potential side effect. I just thought I was, I was young and dumb and didn't read it, and then I thought I was immune. I must have been immune. I mean, you should have seen the amount of hair on my head. I was immune. Didn't apply to me, and I also didn't read the little packet. Had I been told about it while being prescribed it, I probably would have done a double take on that and maybe made other changes. That's just personally me. I don't know how other people feel about that. But the topic of today's Facebook, YouTube live. This is I'm not again. I'm not on Instagram right now, so this is just a Facebook, YouTube live. Is just to challenge our thoughts on shame. Why are we feeling ashamed? What did we do? Did we do anything? Why should we feel shameful for something that we did nothing about? We did nothing to ourselves to feel this. The more that we feel shame, I feel like the more we are digging ourselves deeper into a hole that's harder to get out of. We have to remove that, relieve ourselves from that. And if other people are giving you shame, remove them. I don't care who they are. Remove them for now because you don't deserve that. You deserve to live the life that you deserve with however much hair you have on your head, shaved, short, wigs, no wigs. Nobody gets to tell you that. And you don't need to feel ashamed for 1 second of your life for this being the situation that has happened to you because you did nothing to cause this to yourself. If anything, you should feel proud to have the strength to deal with this because I know that many people that don't deal in this, I don't know how many that they think that they'd be so strong. Just shave it. If it was me, I would just shave it. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. Sure you would. It takes a lot of strength to get up every single day to face a new person in the mirror, a person you no longer recognize, and a person you're scared of losing. It takes a lot of strength to do that. And you're doing it right now, or if you're watching this right now, and continue doing it. And know that there is hope. Hope in many different ways. Hope exists. I've lived on the currency of hope for the majority of time that I've lived with hair loss. And I do think that hope exists. So, with that said, I would like to thank everybody who joined watching this. It will be saved on YouTube. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. So have a great Saturday, and I'm wishing my best to all. Bye.